Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the 26th Poetry Africa. It has been an amazing ride. Everybody has been bursting at the seams. Emotions have been rife. Everybody's been purging and healing, and it's been a mess. We've been a blubbering mess for like 2 whole weeks, and we're happy to bring this to you. To have a cross of live and hybrid shows, and to really just be able to give people the poetry. We do poetry because of what it gives us, it heals us. It defines us. It helps us to work through so many things. And all we can hope is that when the poetry reaches you as the audience, it does the same for you too. We love you so much, South Africa, that we decided today to bring a conversation called South-South Politicking, because we felt it was only right for us to discuss the recent passing of Queen Elizabeth II, with so many mixed reactions around the world, particularly amongst young people who are indigenous to Great Britain's former colonies. Social media has been rife with viral memes, status updates, reflecting impartiality to her passing, you know. And, we may think the Queen has fallen, but as long as the monarchy still stands, her values will still stand. So we just need to resituate ourselves. Some of the reasons cited for being impartial for her death were the brutality and cruelty of colonization, where her grandfather and father presided, the violent anti-colonial struggles that were fought in Africa from the 50s to the 80s under the Queen's rule, and the shameless pillaging and parading of colonies' riches by the royal family, even after liberation struggles had been won. And I'm sure that everybody saw that meme going around where we were just like, can we have this conversation? Like, Queen Elizabeth, so we can get our diamonds back. It has been hectic out on these streets, as if she wasn't a human. But so we decided to put together a group of poets for you today. Our Poetry Africa theme for the 26th Poetry Africa. I mean, the Center for Creative Arts has been doing an amazing job putting the arts out there, putting poetry out there, especially poetry, art fluence, time of the writer. There's been the international film festivals that are now incorporating poetry. It's been a crazy time. It's been very special, and I've been very, very humbled and honored to be part of such a great conversation around poetry, especially with the theme this year being poetic injustice, voices that breathe, move, and transform. And today I'm bringing you 5 different poets. I've got Sonnet Mondal from India. I've got Mercy Dliwayo from Zimbabwe, who lives in Limpopo, South Africa. I have Patience Labane from Bloemfontein. I have Mangala Strider, and I have Peter Oudendal, who are both from South Africa as well. It's been a crazy time here at Poetry Africa, and all we just want to do is let you in. So take a seat, grab a drink, grab some popcorn. We're going to give you some time with the poets who are going to give us reflections on how they feel about the Queen's passing. And first up on my list today, I have Peter Oudendal, who is a South African poet, playwright, translator, and editor. His debut collection, Asof Geen Berge oor hier gewoon het nie, received the 2019 Ingrid Jonker Prize. His poems have appeared in various local and international journals. He was the director of In Zinc Poetry in Cape Town from 2015 to 2019. A poetry organization based in the English Studies Department at Stellenbosch University, along with Anel Petersen Bongeni Nomkonwana of Lingua Africa. He is the co-editor of the translation anthologies Many Tongues, which was released in 2013, and Converse, which was released in 2018. Peter holds a PhD in creative writing from the Queensland University of Technology in Brisbane, which he accumulated in 2020. And he currently teaches creative writing at Northwest University in Potchefstroom. And his second poetry collection is forthcoming from Tafelberg in 2023. Exciting times, beautiful bios, traveled people, well-versed people. And I'm going to give it over to Peter Oudendal today. Let us know, how are we feeling about the passing of Hail the Queen?
Oh my gosh, hey, what an event, what a much anticipated event. I think most of us are really glad that she finally bit the bullet, and hopefully it also signals a time of reconsideration regarding our relationship to Britain, and also various other former colonies that are pushing to end their dependence on Britain and to become democracies. So I do think and hope that we are at a turning point in history. Yeah. So shall I just jump into the poetry?
That's what we're here for.
Cool. So it comes with a disclaimer. I usually write in Afrikaans, but I translated the poems for today's session. So just know English is not my mother. Okay, here we go. Painsvlei Mangaung. He walks barefoot across the earth's belly, a wheelbarrow full of soil in his hands. Behind him, a line dotted with footprints, a sutured wound, flanked by field grass like exclamations of amnesia. The clouds, emptied of rain, make way for sun. He inherited the wheelbarrow from his people, along with the soil, passed on wordlessly like silenced battlefields that become fists that strike inward and let cancers bloom. As a kid, his dad taught him to press his thumbs into the soil, voids to bury onion seeds in the darkness of compost. He turns into the graveyard where yesterday is capsizing to green. The bones of oppressors weather too slowly beneath mud. The soil yearns for another color. He wheels up to his grandpa's stone, a grey Bible, petrified soil promising earthly redemption. He overturns the wheelbarrow. Red soil crashes down, battleground across the grave. The plovers go silent. He shakes the hearse, empties it, dumps it on its belly, opens his hands for the first time. A rebirth of palms. He dusts himself off, lies down next to the violence. The earth holds him tight. The sun sets the clouds alight. There's breath between his fingers. His father's onions sprout from his eyes. Okay. My second offering is an excerpt from an epic poem that I wrote about specifically the colonial history of Makanda, previously known as Grahamstown. I spent about a year there last year, and this is some excerpts from the poem that came from it. The crowded hills of Makanda. It starts with a quote by M. Césaire from Return to My Native Land. You filthy remnant of a world, you filthy small hours, you filthy hate. It's you, burden of an insult and 100 years of the whip. 1. We walk through mist on the hills around Makanda. Grass blows wildly on the ridges in the wind that knows more sadness than peace. The town bustles behind us. The burnt stumps of pine and eucalyptus trees crouch over, stand still, turn their backs. They pockmark the slopes. Humanimals tired to death of finding a piece of earth to call home. They shy away when we approach, shift their weight, avert their eyes. Elephants wait in the kloofs for the day to cool before scouring the fields for their tusks past yellow explosions of mimosas. Blesbok and springbok peer over ridges in search of their skins. Their muscles glitter like wet aloe blooms. Warriors and rhinos hide in thorny thickets to storm Makanda streets at night. 2. Makana, you are a battlefield of biomes and people, a frontier between summer and winter rains where Karoo and coast, veld and forest clash for space like colonists. The Honakwa, the Ndlambe, the Kunukwebe led their cattle here before Abelungu. Strandlopers knew the ways to sea and mountain, the ways of Wildedaga, Inongwe, and Impepo. Never mind Ndlambe's great place, or Chungwes, or the Amambalu trekking through Makana, which was Albany, which was Sierveld, and many trampled names before. Gini, place of reeds, where yellow finches wove their nests, where rietbokke slaked their thirst. What consternation when the pale ones arrived, what stuttering of guns, the rupture of the Milky Way. The crown of thorns on Makana's kop drove the valleys red with madness. The autumn leaves dripping in blood, the river Ikoi carved into the soil like lashes from a shambok. Ikoi, kawi, Ikoi, kawi. The rain always returns. It falls on shrubs and trickles through to the roots of grass and hearts of faithis. The earth awaits us with open arms. 3. We stare at the settlers' monument, an ugly hospital, death ship in the mist. Watch it plow through the mountain, plow through the memories of vertebrates, plow through the track routes of Inkomo, to and from the Sierveld, to and from the Sierveld, the sweetest grass in summer, unpalatable in winter. The taste of grass composed the stomps of hooves and feet. Track Buddha knew this wisdom too. Don't stay too long lest you fuck up a place. But greed poked out their eyes and turned their mouths into crows that flew with deaths in their beaks across 200 years of killing for land. 4. Without rain, Makana is an empty pot melting on an open fire, passing its boiling heat from rock face to rock face like whispers of another war. When drought comes down on the edges of empire, blood gushes into open air to avenge the dirt blue sky. 5. Grain dismounts his salted horse under a wounded poinsettia tree. He hangs his hat on a protruding branch as if it's a coat rack in his foyer. The audacity when the fowl's belly is riddled with prints like layered skin. The audacity to sit sweating on a rock and claim these copies for an anemic crown. 6. Before the Battle of Grahamstown, Makanda Kangaele had a vision. Their bullets would turn to water. So the Amandlambe gathered their spears and chased down from Makana's kop to meet the die-hard projectiles of settlers who refused to relent, who refused to stop for rain. Elizabeth Salt betrayed the prophecy. She passed through the Amakosa with a baby on her back. They did not know the water from her womb on her back would turn into the gunpowder she smuggled from beyond their ranks. The Brits and Busak's regiments fed the cyclone fodder until 1,000 bodies lay strewn across the hills. The water did finally come, warm and streaming from their bodies. The reeds were dipped in sorrow. Tree euphorbia shed yellow flowers on the banks. Their blood did not run free to the ocean. 7. Sheep mangled bitter grass to dust. Fountains dried up, dongas ate the earth, Makana's big mammals were shot to extinction, gemsbok, red hartebeest, black wildebeest, Cape warthog, quagga, lion, black rhinoceros, cheetah, blesbok, eland, spotted hyena, hippopotamus, brown hyena, African wild dog. When the volleys died down, they poisoned the fields with pink strychnine against the remaining howls at night, dreaming of foxtails for government cash, the severed heads of baboons, new medicine to cure their rage. Millions and millions of meters of wire for sheep against animals and moving with the rains, millions and millions of meters of wire for concentration camps, native reservations, nature reserves, the sky, mountains, labor, the veld, mammals, and all the soil, all the shiny distractions below are ring-fenced and priced for extra-national consumption. Major Pretorius exterminates all but 12 adult elephants. The Land Act incinerates all black title deeds. Miners leave to dig below and don't come back. Soldiers leave to shoot above and don't come back. 94 does not halter their ship. It does not turn blood into water or bury the ones who have gathered beneath the alien trees planted by the men who butchered them. 8. We reached the kopje next to PJ Willowfield. The sun slept in after all the infernos. The N2 is a set of disappearing rains that slice through fossilized rock to restrain agitated petrol bombs on wheels. Mist spreads thickly across the vanishing town. Only felt left now, no spires or vibracrete erected against life. We breathe in the dispersed blood of sapiens who have lingered to lead us through these wars. They have wanted to be our water for so long, but we do not stop the burning. We just sway with the multitude, to and fro. Ancients like us, to and fro, lost in the choking mist on the crowded hills of Makanda. Thanks. And then to end, a poem about my heritage. River mouth, Milnerton Beach. I am a gathering of waters, a meeting of salt and fresh, where oyster catchers and gulls and humans weave through the water, where rivers seek ocean and waves need land, always unfinished, this tempestuous mouth. Table Bay lies between me and the mountain. The city blooms detached buildings that are decidedly uninterested in water, but the sea doesn't whirlpool. She remembers the ships full of slaves and Barca who came here to quench their thirst after months of salt and sweat, who came to wash themselves and forget. I see 2 ships en route to the Cape. The one from up north, Willem Adrian on deck, bound for military service at the VOC, and Odendaal mutating in my cells. The second from Madagascar, Diana trapped in the bow, bound along with other unblessed ones for yes ma'ams, bending over, starting anew. She bears her owner's child. Susanna strives despite the blood, marries Willem Adrian. Ma Diana disappears like lightning. Odendaals flood the land. I'm a gathering of waters, a meeting of salt and fresh, where oyster catchers and gulls and humans weave through the water, where rivers seek ocean and waves need land, always unfinished, this tempestuous mouth of mine.
Sure. Thank you so much, Peter.
Thank you for having me.
Spirits showing up, coming to claim back their histories, asking for olive branches, waters for cleansing. I mean, we've been talking about this poetry coming as forms of education, as forms of healing, as forms of history, as forms of archive. Peter, you just gave us so many counts of history and the pieces of poetry you gave us. Thank you, thank you. Thank you so much for the rich bodies of knowledge you continue to contribute and offer to a healing nation. You know, it's a big consideration. I mean, with almost 30 years into democracy, and a lot of our countries still not seeing the tending to the wounds of colonization, of apartheid, of slavery, you know. I think you brought out, you know, the messages from the spirits that visited you to be a vessel for these bodies of information, these bodies of archive. You gave it to us so beautifully. Dean Saunders on Facebook says this is powerful poetry and delivered with such strong conviction. Thank you so much, Peter. That was an amazing experience. And please don't stop.
I won't. I'm just starting. Thank you.
All right, we're going to move on over to the second poet for the night for this reading of South Politicking. For those of you who just joined us, we're talking about the recent passing of Queen Elizabeth II. We may believe the Queen has fallen, yet the monarch still stands. So how do we need to resituate ourselves? How do we take our narratives back into, you know, claim them back? You know, how do we claim back our narratives? How do we heal from the damages of the monarchy? How do we mitigate further damage? You know, let's have these conversations. Talk to me on Facebook. Give me some comments. Talk to me. What do you want to hear? Talk to me, fam. The second poet on the lineup is Mercy Hiwayo, who is a creative writer, a poet, and a hip-hop artist who goes by the stage name Sister X, a human rights activist a human rights advocate at heart, she uses her art as a form of advocacy and resistance. Her debut short story collection, Bringing Us Back, was the recipient of the 2022 Zimbabwean National Art Merit Award for Outstanding First Creative Published Work. Congratulations, Sister X, congratulations. Her writing has also been featured in local, regional, and international publications such as the Caravan Magazine, East Jasmine Review, New Contrast, Femme Rights, Nothing to See Here, Poetry Potion, and Mosa Oatunya Review, amongst others. In 2019, she released her debut hip-hop and spoken word album, The X Agenda. She is also the founding member of the Slam Emporium Polokwane, an organization that grants a platform for performance and creative growth in Polokwane and its surrounding areas. Mercy, what have you got for us to say? Can we see your beautiful face today?
Oh, I am struggling. Hello, I'm struggling to turn my camera on. I thought it's something that was done on your side. I'm failing to turn it on. How are you?
We're well, thank you.
I'm on a cell phone. It's not activating. I'm on a cell phone.
All right. Well, we'll just have to do with what we have. We're here to hear your poetry. We're happy to have you deliver through this gorgeous imagery of yours. I might give you another 2 seconds to try and figure out your video while I read some comments from Facebook. Ndombi Musonda says, Peter delivered such a beautiful poetry and I felt transported after. I swear I could see his Milnerton. And Ndombi would have loved to also have heard your poetry in Afrikaans too. So thank you so much. Mangala Babuira says, we're grateful for the beautiful poetry. Mercy, are we winning with our camera on your side?
No, I'm not winning. Funny, I was on the whole time. Nonetheless, I'll just share what I have.
All right, no problem. I'll let you take the stage then, Mercy.
Thank you. Regarding the death of Elizabeth, I don't know what it feels really, because I'm not one to celebrate death. At the same time, she and her family caused a lot of damage to Africa. And one of the damage that could be irreparable is the damage that has been inflicted on our languages. I fear that if you don't do something about it, our languages are going to be erased. So this piece was inspired by just my concern over the erasure of our languages. It's titled These Tongues. Words slide out of our lips and pour out in beautiful melodies, thick honeygold pleasantries gliding ceremoniously in unrestricted territories, serene soliloquies draped in majestic garments of transverse ideologies, bold tongues molding speech, speak in revolution, preaching gospels that spew out of our mouths and cling to our ears, engraving legacies, bearing testament of the predicament of modernity. Behold the global age of complex identities, where we define ourselves in tongues and dialects imported, while our mother tongues go impotent, our voices swallowed, vocabulary narrowed to tongues borrowed, tongues that do not recognize the sound of our names, tongues that cannot find meaning in our totems, tongues that have no dialects, tongues that determine the scope of our intellects, with these alien tongues that we have grown to dream and even thinking. What knowledge of self shall we impart on the future we are conceiving? Will our children know the language of self? Will they know of yesterday's tongues that reeked of legacy and bore testament to ancestry? Tongues that are pregnant with identity, bearing tribal marks adorned with mystery. Will they know the language of the names? Whose names shall they bear? And will the gods know? And will the gods hear them when they pray? Will they recognize the voices beneath the silver that coats the speech of their tongue? Will the gods hear them when they pray? Will they recognize the voices beneath the silver that coats our speech? That was These Tongues. My next piece This was an attempt to try and find my way, trying to relearn to use my language, because I'm one of those poets who's still trapped in the whole, still under the trap of only being able to write in English and not being able to write in my own mother tongue. So this was an attempt to try and break away from that, that trap many of us have fallen under. So this piece is titled Ngane Zolahleko. Sigcwele lapha eGoli, okuhlangana khona amazwe bonke lemikhando yonke yezoni. Lapha eGoli bagwazela lo mifoni, okwazayo ngowakini, ukulala estridini kuzokunika isibindi, iqine inhliziyo iphenduke ibe yinsimbi, ubambe inkunzi silahleke isithunzi kanye lesethu, noma ethu siyithola siginqa sisokola, abanye bagcwalisa ama-cross border ngemali yegazi yodwa, mase besixotsha siqala ukubasola, sehlula ukubona ukuthi labo balwela elabo ilizwe, elethu libolela ezandleni zabakhokheli abangasinaki, isibhedlela zethu azilaphi, kuyafiwa mo, abalowo kwabo balatshelwa eSingapore, thina pho sizolatshwa ngubani, esibhedlela sikabani, labodokotela baphi bengaphiwa imali, kunzima sibali, bona manje sonke sibalekele eMzansi, kodwa eMzansi bakhathele ngathi, wedwa muntu omnyama, umhlaba uyakukhama, ukuphanda siyazama kodwa kuyala, amazulu avala indlebe masikhala, imithandazo yethu iphelela emoyeni angathi uThixo wakalakheli, uhulumende akasimeli, usixotshela ezizweni, saphenduka saba zintandane elizweni labo baba, silahlekile egangeni elimnyama, izimvu phakathi kwezilwane, sichawa kabili kathathu ngumbane, kodwa qinisela ngane, sizodlula lesi savunguzane, bheka silapha sisamile, amakhosi avumile, thetha nkulunkulu, feza ubuso bakho wena omkhulu, mhlawumbe ngelinye ilanga amaphupho wethu azofezeka, vukani makhosi, lakini sizocela indlela, kade silahlekile, sephenduka kade silahlekile, sesiphenduka ebukhosini, sizogeza isinyama, sidinga ukukhanya, lathi sifuna ukuhlala kwelizwe lethu, kodwa umhlaba wethu uyasiyala. I hope for those who don't understand isiNdebele, that was just a piece to just stating our situation as Zimbabweans who are scattered all across other people's countries. My next piece is titled, it was part of a rap verse, which I felt like I needed to share, because while we're speaking of the legacy of Queen Elizabeth, our biggest problem may not really be her legacy. Our biggest problem may be the leaders that we have who are still perpetuating the same crimes that Africans suffered under the colonial rule. This even makes it worse because from our leaders, we expect more because they are one of us. We are theirs. So this piece, it's not really titled. It goes like this. The police, here they come run. Put down your gun, son. But wait, you don't even got a gun. But you don't need to be armed to be gunned just to run. No, son, don't run. Stop and raise your arms. Any bad move and they could splatter your guts. They don't care about us as agents and puppets of corporate government bureaucrats whose legacies are overshadowed by the numerous atrocities and bodies dashed up in makeshift cemeteries, concealed under bloody carpets of untapped histories, hushed under the guise of a unity accord. But the unity they forged is written in a botched peace accord, an accord that could never afford the people the justice they sought. Your people are scattered abroad for trading justice for peace. But what is peace when our voices cannot speak? Such peace is silent death, the breath held on the held breath of a pending obituary, the held breath of pending obituaries of missing revolutionaries and mere citizens who sought to rewrite their prophecy when all we sought was to reclaim our flags, even when all that we had were mere hashtags. But our hashtags of brewing revolutionary chants, our hunger pangs were refusing to be hushed. So much has been hushed and we can no longer hold our peace, and all we seek is the bare minimum. We seek the right to a decent livelihood, to hold the job and not feel the guilt of committing a crime against an unemployed youth, the right not to have the crimes of another foreign non-entity assigned to our identity. And thirdly, the right to dignity, the dignity we can never demand from a foreign hospital bed. And ultimately, we want to come back, not in coffins and not with your undertaking to bury us, our charred bodies. We want to come back, but not in coffins and not with your undertaking to bury our charred bodies. Yes, I am Elvis, but I refuse to be another Elvis. I want to leave. I want to come back and not to be forced to leave. I want never to become a foreigner ever again in my life, but I want to leave. Hence, I am forced to leave. Your democracy has no place for me. I'd rather die wanting to leave, but I'd rather die wanting to leave than to die of the hunger here. So that was, yeah. So still on that aspect of the legacy that was left by colonial rule, my closing piece was just an attempt to defy what we have been reduced to by our colonial histories. It was an attempt to deny the stereotypes that have been placed on us by virtue of where we come from. So this piece is a short piece titled Shooting Stars. Black child, we are more. We are more than the poor souls the Kodak moments left to expose. Snapshots that seek to impair our dignity with the world-winning photography. Neither are we aesthetics and relics for the eyes to relish. Not collectibles or heroes that can exchange for euros or art. They can hang in galleries like stolen African sculptures that sculptured modern art and birth European avant-garde. We are not the sum of our adversities. We are not beggars. We are innovators and inventors. Intellect in our midst. We carry the spirit of the farmer boy who harnessed the wind. The slum kid who chose to circumvent the poverty with the gave a chest that placed her on a level of equality in spite of her poverty. From the dumpster to a grandmaster, we are shooting stars and we're shooting for the stars.
Oh, mercy, 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 mercy. Thank you, Sister X. Thank you. Thank you for ukusixelela nasedlozini ukuthi silapheke yilamanxeba simabokoboko. Thank you, Sister X. Thank you for reminding us to go back to the source, because we've so much been stolen ourselves. We've been stolen from ourselves, and it's been a hell of a journey, you know, watching human beings, you know, bask, watching especially young Africans bask in the privilege of being able to go back to our own sources, you know, things that were taken away from us by Aboma Witchcraft Act of 1957. We could never ask again for Mitlozi anymore, for Ugezega, you know, for restoration, you know, for Ukungwa. Thank you so much for taking us back to remembering that within our mother tongues hide the secrets of our healing, you know. Izinto oyikhulumile kuleya nkondlo yakho oyenze ngesindebere khehla lam. Yo, I mean, you came through with an aspect of our language which cannot be translated. It's an aspect of our language that is directly aligned to us because it speaks in secret voices within our ears and within our spirits, because when it finds our spirits, it takes us back to where we can find restoration again. Yo, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Sister X. Please continue educating and archiving and advocating and activating upon the knowledge that we know gives us back to ourselves. Little bit of comments from Facebook for you, Sister Mercy. Sister Mercy speaks for the forgotten nations. We love your work, Sister Mercy. Mercy, the thievery of language. #reclaim yours. Create libraries so we never forget. Sometimes isilungu siphuma kalula kodwa ithemba likhona. Nathi sibe zincwadi kubalandelayo ngolwimi lethu. From Flo Wellington, mercy, hearts, and yes. Thank you so much for standing up for the poets from Mo Africa. Mercy says, thank you so much, Mercy. Thank you for the love. Togoza, Sister X, Togoza.
Thank you, Poetry Africa, and the audience at home. We appreciate your availability and taking the time to spend this time with us.
Thank you so much, Sister Mercy. We're going to move on to the next poet. We hope to hear more of your work very, very soon, Sister Mercy. Woo! Giving me chills. All right, so we're going to move on to the third poet on the lineup. Patience Labane is a colorful voice from Bloemfontein. Her journey with poetry started in 2018, where she won her first poetry slam. The current state of poetry. Oh, she went on to win 2 more slams, Freyfius in 2019. She is also the host and founder of Her Thoughts, which is a podcast celebrating literature, poetry, and artists. She's also a visual artist, author, essayist, and a collector of African series writers' novels. Woo! So much power. Some of her work was selected to form part of an anthology on African diaspora and women in the technological age by Howard University to make its debut at the end of this year. And Patience continues to inspire with her art. Patience, sister, please inspire us.
Oh, it's crazy. Yeah, it's crazy, but I hope that you guys can see me clearly. We are here at the slums. The things are happening, but no, we are here. Yeah. Okay, so most of my poetry, or the poetry that I am going to share with you guys today, speaks to Black people actually claiming themselves back after everything that has happened to them throughout history. And it's about us learning to love ourselves the way we were made and celebrating our kind of beautiful. So this is the poetry that I am going to share. So the first one is entitled, We Are God's Creation. We are God's creation. Siyindalo kaThixo, rigetso ya tlatlamacholo, pulsing through the universal body with taste, color, culture, and texture. We are God's creation. Our bodies serving as temples, stretching as far as the eye can conceive. Wounds, scars, and marks laid bare on this beautiful earth as stories. We are God's creation. Individual cells pacing through life's organism, giving it breath and a newness unknown. We are the ancestors who still draw breath, stomaching pain and death like the wild does, sometimes turning our bodies into breathing mattresses for those who have lost more than us. We are God bodies, designed for both speed and pleasure, depending on which one needs to feel right at the moment. We are creatures of habit and dreams, inhabiting dreams to get a handle on our feels. We are God's creation, surpassing beauty standards, for we are much more complex than that. We are more than the shape of our nose or the length of our labia. We are more than perky breasts or gravity-abiding ones. We are more than our sexuality or the things we like. We are colorful souls full of stories. We are laughter and silence when the moment needs it. We are bursting with raw sexuality when the season's expected. We are prayers answered when the time comes. We are more than skin and categories. We are stars planted here as flowers, different but all thriving under one sun. We are forgiven sins and new beginnings. We are white smiles and nurtured bodies. We are survivors of war and of madmen. We are keepers of wishes and creators of art. We are yesterday's pain and tomorrow's promise. We are all that hangs in the balance. We are poetry in different formats. We are our history, still learning to breathe right. Today, we forgive our tongues for forgetting our mother's language. We drown it in ocean water and silence, unlearn it of the oppressor's language so we can bless our wounds with holy prayers. Today, we find a way to heal. It will take years, but we are willing. Siyakubuyela apho banqatshe khona obawo, kwaye nathi siyakuthwala uxolo. Sofika singanxibanga isihlangu, ukunqaba umsindo wokungabikho ekhaya. Siza kubuyela endlini apho obawo bafunda khona uthando. Siyakuqutshumisa umhlaba owawungobawo omkhulu bethu. Siza kulungiselela umthendeleko wokuzazisa. Siyakuthi ke sifikile. So that was my first poem. And my second poem is entitled, History Has No Repentance, for it is past. History has no repentance, for it is past. We carry the wounds of the fallen in our compressed chests. There are songs we hum to lullaby ourselves to sleep at night. Their angst, their passion, their voices crying freedom written in our palms. Our shoulders are heavy with responsibility, for it is ours to carry their legacies forth, to soils unspoiled with the belligerent truth that haunts the June 16, 1976 youth. Today, we stand in places they fought for, speaking freely in tongues that were forced on them. We inherited the opportunity to do greater and better for a nation that tries to divide us. We are wiser because of those who came before us. We carry their fighting spirits and power to bring a change that was denied them. We are the youth, and we will stand against injustice and lack of transparency. To the ones who came before, may your spirits lead us forth. So that was my second poem. And then my last and my third poem is entitled Silenced and Rooted Bodies. We are made with bad dreams, our bodies possessing bad habits. We are made by minds that have learned to disintegrate. We are falling. Like endless timelines, we keep falling. To the ground we cannot reach, from a heaven that's far from our reach. We grasp only our breath, little butterflies that have been chased out of their cocoons, nature safe. Growth will find you somewhere as you go along. We self-medicate, self-depreciate until we work ourselves into a heavy, depressive state. We are thorns without roots, no petals. We are stars without the shine. We are laughter without sound. We are color without hue. We are black without privilege. Our heaven taken from us by those who told us to pray for ours. Our bodies turned into feasts, the rest discarded for the diseased. We hide in each other's bodies, learning to escape the war in ours because nobody wants to fight alone, especially when the night comes. Where is it? This beautiful peace we were promised. I only know to surrender to a body of hate. It's not home enough for a body that craves more than orgasms and war. I want more that won't take any more from me. For all I have are these words slowly learning to die in my ribcage. And these stories have burdened my tongue that it cannot speak. We are worried that we are weary. Being aware of one's existence is the greatest conflict to be. We are bodies of history. We are bodies of unrest. We are bodies in boats and buses still waiting for a repentant present. We are bodies looted from a white wall. We are stories altered, faces disfigured, backs swept, and identity stolen. We are silence in front of quivering babe lips while their mother is handled by white power. We are closed eyes and tightly formed fists, raised in the air to declare taking back our power. What are we? I think we left ourselves in the 15th century. So yeah, that was my last poem. So I hope you enjoyed that.
Patience. Patience. Thank you. Thank you for taking us back to ourselves. We are God bodies. We are forgiven sins and new beginnings.
Yes. Yes.
My man, I am here for this. Flo Wellington responding, much more complex than this. We love this. Oh, my word. Charlie Lewis also going crazy about God bodies. I think you need to release these God bodies to us so we can consume it on a regular basis, so we can be reminded, so we can remember. Because wow, what a way to remember to take ourselves back, because it is true. We roamed amongst the gods before colonization took place. You know, and it's nice to be able to be in a place where we can say it like it is. You know, there was a long time where we were being told, when are you going to get over it? When are you going to stop? No, the truth is we walked amongst the gods were amongst us as human, our gods that were taken from us.
That's true. So thank you so much. It has been great, but now I have to get back to the people. But thank you so much for the opportunity, the platform. It's been amazing.
Thank you. But Patience, you are power. You are power. Oh, this is great. That was Patience Labane, everybody. Catch her at the Slam finals tonight. Woo, lucky you. And You got to see a slam finalist throwing down. Woo! It is beautiful out here. Some love again from Dean Saunders for Mercy, saying, wow, this was such passionate poetry, Mercy. You have such a unique, aggressive flow that reminds us of a gushing river, yet there is an amicable undertone that brings the audience to the calm river mouth. So you gave us a healing there, Aus Mercy. Thank you so much. Sister X, thank you so much to Patience, who is power. Catch Patience at the Slam Jam final tonight at 7 o'clock. Catch it online on Facebook. Catch it online on YouTube. If you are in Durban, you are privileged enough to see it live at Howard College Theatre. Come on through tonight, 7 p.m. You are going to have a poetry overload. But I promise you, they're all poetry lords and you will enjoy it. Let's move on over into the international waters. We have next on the lineup, Sonnet Mondal. Sonnet Mondal over here, who has a beautiful biography. Sonnet Mondal is an Indian poet, editor, and author of An Afternoon in My Mind, published by Copper Coin, 2022. Karmic Chanting, published by Copper Coin, 2018. Ink and Line, Diwali Books, 2018, and 5 other books of poetry. He has read at literary festivals in the USA, Macedonia, Ireland, Madagascar, Turkey, Nicaragua, Sri Lanka, Germany, Italy, Ukraine, Hungary, Slovakia, among others. He was awarded the Gayatri Gamache Memorial Award for Literary Excellence in 2016. Congratulations, Mondal. Mondal was one of the authors of the Silk Roots project of the International Writing Program at the University of Iowa from 2014 to 2016, founding director of Chair Poetry Evenings, Kolkata's International Poetry Festival. Mondal edits the Indian section of Lyric Line, House for Poesy Berlin, and serves as a managing editor of Verseville. He has been a guest editor for Words Without Borders, New York, and Poetry at Sangam, India. His words have been translated into Hindi, Bengali, Marathi, Spanish, Portuguese, Italian, Chinese, Turkish, Slovak, Macedonian, French, Russian, Ukrainian, Slovenian, Hungarian, and Arabic. Is there a language this man is not translated in? OMG, what a well-traveled poet, what an international brand. Sonnet, you make us proud to call you a fellow poet. This is an amazing biography. But let's hear what you have to say to for us today about the passing of Queen Elizabeth II.
Well, first of all, thanks to everyone at Poetry Africa for making a part of this year's edition. About the Queen's passing, I would say that as far as my knowledge goes, the Queen first visited India in 1961 after 14 years of independence. And except on social media, I doubt there has been any real reactions about the Queen's passing. It was just like, okay, the Queen has passed away. And not many Indians, neither me, know much about, or we do not care to know much about the Queen's legacy. We have come like a long way since 1947. And before colonization, the real Indian issues were related to society. And still, there are the main Indian problems are related to society. So my poems today will be related to the Indian society. And of course, towards the end, I would be reading a poem not dedicated to the Queen's passing, but dedicated to my grandpa, because he was there during the colonial era and he talked a lot about India's independence and he never talked about the Queen. So without talking much, my first poem would be Rubble. The books no longer smell of paper, paper no longer smells of education, education loiters like withered leaves and the leaves fall like tears on flames. The rubble looks like a failed mutiny by the tables, chairs, and books. They seem like the skeletons of a sketchy mankind clattering in a slapdash rhythm. I already feel my bones beating the drums. I don't recognize the beat they belong to. The poison is propagating its own agendas. The ears are being sent into a trance. Let me go now. If the rubble ever shapes up into a school again and not a museum, call me back to this land. My second poem is Taken Away. Looking at funeral pyres, I feel the heat liberated from the pain of parting. People die, gasp for air, and cry as ashes transform into power, policies, and politics. Occasionally, rain falls, turning the ashes into mud, while we spread our palms over our heads, thinking the rain will not touch us. My third poem today, Charred Pages. The pages that housed stories are looking for a home today. The paintings on the walls are silent. They have been left to mourn. As silence regains its realm, the bare bones of books use the dialect of the vacuum to articulate and pull those heralds inside them and allow their tirades and incitements to reverb till they burst their eardrums. The books still lie there with their leftovers, with something to read in solitude, with something to think over after the chaos. These three poems are actually dedicated to the terrible situation that's persisting at present all over the world, where our beloved leaders do not care about schools and books. They do not care about bombing even schools. There have been many occasions when schools have been bombed, and there was one occasion in New Delhi in 2020. There was a riot when a school was burned down. The books were burned down. So these three poems point out at the towards these societal problems. And then the next poem, The Answer. A dry land seeking liberty to get drenched wonders about the quiet after this storm. The roads are familiar to it. The smell of the air isn't. The trees no longer lias. Their commitments are done. Does the new rephrasing require us? Response to the Queen's passing. Does the new rephrasing require us? An empty bowl falls on the floor. The sound seems familiar. It was there in the quiet before the storm. And poverty is a big problem in India. It was there during the colonial era, still it's there. And there was this fisherman trying to pull out a boat in one of the marshy areas in West Bengal from my state in India. So the poem is dedicated to him. Hungry faith. The fisherman in the Sundarbans was hauling his boat out of mud into an intoxicated river. Between the prow and his hands, a sweat-soaked turban hollowed out the sounds of struggle. His bulging veins more resolute than the very holes of the fishing net, soaking up the sun. The stooping trees of the forest tried to lend a hand, but, held by the river bank, moaned in the wind. The water looked warm, but didn't rise to the boat. Somewhere in the fragmented sun, hunger was severing muddy toil. And my last poem of the day, as I told, I would dedicate it to my grandpa, who lived a bit during the colonial era, talked about India's independence, how it was like to me, but he never talked about the Queen. So Grandpa's veranda. Grandpa used to sit on a protrusion of the veranda in our old house. He used to nod subtly to acquaintances walking by, plowing time, looking from across the road. I remember him from his last days, mostly lying on the bed he had slept on for more than 6 decades. These days, I often sit in the new open balcony of our house. A few people wave at me, a few people smile, and some just walk by. I will be sitting here till they remain, just like Grandpa still sits in his veranda in the eyes of those who have seen him there. An unavoidable view of places we inhabit, an inconsolable coffin much before we depart. Thank you. Thank you, Christy, and thanks to everyone at Poetry Africa for having me here, for listening to my poems.
Thank you, Sonnet. It was an amazing, amazing set that you just gave us. What a wonderful insight into the historical relevance of these movements that are happening in the world right now on India. It's a very nice insight to give us. Thank you so much, Sonnet. And please keep going. Please keep archiving history through poetry. You're doing a brilliant job. And, you know, it's one of those things that made me think of the Poetic Inquiry Symposium, where, you know, there's the celebration of bringing academia and poetry together, using poetry as a form of archive within academia and as a form of research within academia. And I think today, listening to Sonnet was like it was a perfect witness to, you know, the movements that poetry is making in so many different spaces. You know, history and archiving, it's driving me crazy. I am going in circles and I am spinning with the amounts of information you gave us in such short poems. You know, Dean Saunders says they envy your name, so applicable and symbolic, such brevity in your poems, and I think it adds to its potency, you know. Flo Wellington is raging around thinking the rain will not touch us. Short poems filled with so much heart-wrenching power. And Dombi Musonda is raising her hands. Thank you so much, Sonnet, for this beautiful offering that you gave us. And we hope that we can hear your work again. Mangala wants to know, where can we find your books, sir? Where can we find your books?
They are available on Amazon. You can, of course, find it on Amazon, yes.
Okay, you heard it for yourself. You can find Sonnet Mondal's work all over Amazon, Bakhechu. Thank you so much for your offering, Sonnet, and we hope to see you again very soon.
Thank you.
My time is almost up, so I'm going to move on over to the last poet. And the last poet that I have on our lineup today on this very, very rich, historically relevant conversation titled South Politicking. I have Mangala, known as Lord Strider. Naria Babirwa is a poet, MC, writer, dancer, and performer. He's a current State of Poetry alumni, a member of Ebukosini Solutions, and has been a part of UJ Poetry since 2018. Short and sweet and beautiful. I will now give the stage to Mangala. Mangala, what do you have for us today? Abuti.
Tobe, greetings.
Tobe.
To start off with the Queen, there were so many things I wanted to say, things that would be considered not so couth or uncouth, but I will refrain from that and just say that for those who can see that it's a sign of the times that those of us who have been under oppression for quite a long time, these are the signs that the return of the Black King is imminent. So do what you have to do to get your spirit, family, community, and nations right, because the time for the originals to rule again is here. It is slow coming, but it is here. So just keep watching the signs. Yes. So I like I said, Kinamangala, and yeah, these are my poems. She coils her scent around his lips, massaging honey into the lemon of his kiss, peeling the misogyny with each bliss, throwing oceans from his depleted iris. Salt drips onto the honey, stinging a taste of trauma, alerting the healer's empathy. She squeezes herself into his tears, tasting the misogyny of his upbringing. A tyrant tongue tossing comets, debilitating old earth. He, the sun, unable to shine hope unto the soil. The old earth sinks into itself, loathing her skin at the death of each season. She warriors into his pupils, soul buried under pounds of marijuana ash. Red eyes command her to stop. She does not, proceeds as if guided by an ancestor, a grandmother, who loved the soul enough to snuggle the sexism, enough to suffocate the swords hurled at her womb. She praises this incoming bloom, sprinkles blessings on lineage wounds. She, the healer, within a room of spiraling nightmares, is greeted by a septic inner child who somewhere underneath the sun's smile lost his shine. He has become a dull knife, cutting cords with the nectar of life, the divine feminine. She cradles him upon his breast, cupping his glaring misfortunes, each drop telling of bottled typhoons, primed to explode decay of all that is true. She is stabbed by his pain. How was this broken flower made? How come he finds honor and love for the feminine strange? His plunge is a great dismay. The healer proceeds to say, son, it's okay. Remember your name. You are a mirror of all which is great. You are the first man to open earth's shores. Profound in your soul is what's pure. I'm sorry for all the agony you've had to endure. You are loved. You are loved. Rise from your burial. Resurrect your heart. Ignite your honor and chastise the dark. Your kingdom awaits, led by a queen who brews brighter days. She, the healer, gently escorts him out of doom and into the present noon. His tears now rhythm a different tune, singing of fountains and skies of hue, bowing to shrines that birth truth. His tongue now bears fruits. Dear lover, thank you for restoring my serene sensory. Your touch, alchemy, found me hissing vulgarities. Now I'm slithering away from casualties, rising to the best of my abilities, like the wise serpents coiling in my cheek. Lover, thank you for mending my shadows. I am now one with the moon. My light lives through you. You, the divine feminine. Thank you for wiping away my sins. That is my first poem, titled The Healer, dedicated to all specifically Black women who hold us Black men, African men, when we have gone astray. And we have gone astray, not that we are inherently barbaric creatures. However, we are coming from the worst form of colonization there is. And it so happens that they're the ones who can bring us back when we are most lost. So it's dedicated to them who don't give up on us. So for the queens. This one is titled Prayer. Prayer, the forgotten miracle of men. She lay coiled in your breath, wailing, inhaling your disobedience, choking on your panting sins. Her tears flood your lungs, washing your weakness to shore. Your jaws spit out the tides of cynicism, anchoring your frail being in pessimism. You ignore her gushes, dwelling in prison, a floating fish who lacks spoken vision. Prayer. She's dying to be remembered. Unsheath her skin to slay your endeavors. She of soothing likeness, unwrap her from your doubt vice grip. Let her ballet in your breath. Her steps exude a divine caress, massaging the sores of regret. She is led by the oasis sounds of Amen. Let her fill your flesh, quench the fever of death. Her scent silencing the inner infernos felt. Prayer, she is a divine breath, a silent ululating, the Redeemer who ushers in solace. Ashe. That's the second one. That's the second one. That's the second one. So this is my next piece. It's entitled Children. Children, offspring of spring, a becoming narrated by lush beginnings, blossoming from earth. Children are the vibrant depiction of bliss, with their warm smile and crisp laughter. Refreshing peace garments their aura, an absolute honor to author, a thriving spring emancipated from traumas, scripted in scathing winters. Us, parents crushed through inherited shivers to ignite a warmth where you'll be delivered. Children, we are blessed that you are here. You are a magnificent delight, thriving as a sun-drenched sun. Sun, you flourish as the new year. Your cheerful eyes dwarf my fears. Speaking of a land of milk and sovereignty, each twinkle upsurges my energy. I pull purpose from your pupils, pouncing on each glimpse, plowing within, planting prayers and providing winds. Sun, my springing delight, thank you for your energetic strides. You are the visuals to a better life. Yeah, and this is my final piece. It's titled Colonialism. 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 In native lands, colonialism disturbs the peace. He fires grenades in hours of sleep, pillages the villages of peace, daily raping their dreams, poisoning every fiber of their being. Colonialism. He uproots their heritage, thrusting shards in their ancestors, excavating their wisdom, perverting their spirits. Oppression, colonialism. It brainwashes their voices, teaching their tongues timidity, taming their rage, taunting their tears, traumatizing the tribes. Colonialism. He occupies their vision, officiates their behavior, others their love. Colonialism discards their memories, displaces their future, destroys their culture, dominates their existence. Colonialism, you inhumane monster, you have made us orphans, stripped us from our mother, Earth. She is wailing our names. She laments, for you have turned her into a grave. Though our world has been made, we shall insurrect a brighter day, ignite the fervor of those who are brave, for us to expel you from our plains. Peace, Kalabora. Ashe, ashe.
Ashe, ashe, mangala, ashe, ra leboha abuti we. Poeticking, the crowd is going crazy for you. Don't be worried, you are the mirror of all that is great. This is a candlelight for us. This is a portal back into the light for us. We love you talking about the healings of the healing nature that the healer and the divine feminine bring to you, especially in a time when feminism has presented a lot of gaslighting, silencing, and violence. It's a time to also look at the things that we've put in place to try and restore ourselves, to try and evolve them, and also look at ourselves to be accountable for whatever toxicity we may be bringing to the table. Extract, purge, so that we can have something functional and viable and sustainable. Woo! Have mercy, you're going, the time for the originals to rule again is here. Mangala, your words are an elegant dance, each word hand selected to serve a unique purpose. We love your pen. Ntombi ari bana. Hashtag divine feminine. Lalita says, thank you so much. Hail Mangala the king. Dean Saunders, throwing oceans from his depleted iris, so descriptive. Such an immediacy in your poetry. I love the way you fully articulate every word, impassioned in rhythm and subtext. This was the perfect closing. Ashe, Realeboha Mangala. Aha! Nizwilege, you guys have been activated. The conversation has been sparked. Continue the conversation on the socials because it's important. We are lucky in this day and age to have social media. Those of us who have struggled with gaslighting and silencing and everything under the sun that can make us feel invalid, we can now validate and affirm ourselves by finding communities that are aligned to our voices online. Again, join us at 7 p.m. for the Slam Jam finals. Thank you so much to Poetry Africa. Thank you so much to Center for Creative Arts. Thank you so much to our tech guy, Bash Siddiqui. Woo! It's been a great ride. I love you guys. And I just want to let you know that we will always work our hardest to bring you poetry with purpose. Good night, and I hope I see you in an hour's time.